Hello everyone and welcome back to the homestead. It is chicken processing day here on the farm. We've got a batch of 41 Cornish cross from McMurray that are ready to go. I've got my buddy Dan with me as always. And as we go through today, we're not going to show you the full process because YouTube doesn't like that, but I am going to share some tips and tricks with you along the way, where if you're processing your first batch of birds or if you've been processing birds for a while, maybe these are some things that you just haven't really thought about. One thing to think about when you're processing your chickens is you want to think about cleanup before cleanup time comes, and I apologize for my hands the way they are. You can take some simple steps to make sure that your cleanup later in the day is going to be a lot easier. One, we like to put a tarp up behind our kill cones. That way nothing is splashing on the wall or the garage door. We put liners in the collection buckets down below for the blood and the heads. Those are easy at the end of the day. You just pick those up and they get tossed. On our plucker, we lay down a tarp at that kind of outshoot of the plucker where it dumps all the feathers. We lay down a tarp so at the end of the day we can just pick up that tarp and go throw the feathers in the compost pile. If you think to yourself early on, what are the hardest things to clean up gonna be, and you take a few steps, putting a tarp down, putting a tarp behind the kill cones, those are the sort of things you can do where at the end of the day when you're already tired because you've processed a whole bunch of chickens, it's gonna help you make your cleanup a little bit easier for you. Next tip I've got for you is to have a process in place and set up kind of sort of stations. Have somebody killing birds, have somebody plucking and scalding birds. If you have enough people, get somebody eviscerating them. What we like to do is get all the birds slaughtered, as many as we can. We'll stack them on a pallet here so there's a little bit of airflow. And as a couple of us are slaughtering birds, Jackie is usually over there, looking great. She'll be scalding and plucking birds while we're killing birds. And then we get the birds chilled in coolers and we'll eviscerate them and do that all in one shot afterwards. So have a plan going in, know who's gonna be doing what, have the people that are gonna be killing the chickens ready to do that, have the people that are gonna be scalding and plucking do that. If you have 3 people, you can get a pretty good rotation going there and move through them quick. What a perfect time to talk about the third tip I was gonna give you guys, because it's the next day. We ran out of, well, we didn't run out of time. Basically, I was trying to shoot footage and it was just taking a while. So I put the camera down and started processing chickens. And that falls in line with my third tip for people who are processing chickens maybe for the first time or maybe you're relatively new. And that tip is don't schedule anything else on chicken processing day. And the reason for that is that it's pretty common to take longer than you expect. Yesterday morning we were hoping to get started at 9. I don't think we turned the water for the scalder on until 9. At that point, by the time the water came up to temp, it was like 9:45 and we had like just started killing chickens. By lunchtime we realized we were going to be a little bit behind. So my advice is just be aware that sometimes, you know, for no reason other than things come up over the course of the day and you're doing other stuff, things will take a little bit longer than maybe you expect they will. And not to leave anything that you definitely need to get done that day on chicken processing day. Try to do it either the day before or the day after. The fourth tip I'm going to give you is not related directly to the chicken processing, but it goes along with it. Make sure you stop and have a good lunch. Don't necessarily eat chicken. You're probably not going to want to eat chicken for a couple days after processing chickens. What we like to do, as I think I mentioned earlier in this video, is we like to stop when we have all the birds killed, scalded, and plucked, and in the ice bath and chilling. And then we like to come back after lunch and do the evisceration and the packaging of the birds. Good lunch doesn't always have to mean something from the farm. I'm known if we have a bunch of people over helping with chicken processing, 5 or more, we'll just get pizzas. We'll order pizzas from a local pizza place. Yesterday we had some smoked jalapeno and cheddar sausage that I had made up the day before. We actually threw them on the smoker in the morning when we started, and then by lunchtime they were ready to get tossed and finished on the grill, and that's what we had for lunch. But make sure you take some time out of the middle of your day to get away from chicken processing. You know, take like an hour and then come back to it and feel a little bit more invigorated, get some coffee in you, get some water in you, stay hydrated. Because chicken processing is a long day. It's not just going out, killing a bunch of chickens, and then having them in your freezer. It involves a lot of work. The last tip I want to give you guys is don't be too hard on yourself if it's your first time. There's a lot of things in life that when it's your first time, you're probably not very proud of, and we don't need to get into that on the channel. But with chicken processing, the first time you do it, no matter how many YouTube videos you've watched, no matter how many people you've kind of seen do it, the first time you get your hands on a knife and do it, it's not going to be pretty. Even if you're at a chicken processing workshop and somebody's teaching you hands-on, you simply just don't have the knife skills to do it. That's part of why I really like having my buddy Dan out to help me with this stuff, because coming from a chef background, he knows how to use a knife, and he actually picked it up really quickly. But the first birds he ever did, the first birds I ever did, they didn't look good. We processed one of these turkeys yesterday. I gave it to Dan as part of his payment for helping out for the day. I don't do turkeys frequently. Dan's never done a turkey. And this thing, it's gonna be serviceable for the Thanksgiving table, but it wasn't pretty. It wasn't even as nice as what I would consider you see in the stores. It doesn't hurt to take a chicken processing workshop like the type that we offer here in the spring, and you'll soon, hopefully, fingers crossed, be able to find on the Homesteaders of New England website. That's coming soon. I'm gonna make an announcement. But getting good and getting really pretty looking results comes with time. And the first time you do it, don't get discouraged, because your birds are they'll taste great, but any ones you hack up really especially bad, just piece out, cut the breasts out, cut the legs out, cut the wings out, and vacuum seal them that way and eat them piece by piece. If you are in the southern New Hampshire region and you want to come to one of our chicken processing classes, we run those in the spring usually. We usually do one a spring. We're thinking about doing 2 next spring, splitting up the meat birds in a couple batches and doing one week and one another weekend. So keep an eye out for that announcement either on our Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or wherever. We usually announce it a couple weeks before. But I hope this video gave you a little bit more confidence if you're thinking about doing meat birds. Jump into it next year and raise some chicken for yourself. It's a great way to feed your family and put a decent amount of meat in the freezer in only about 8 weeks. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Otherwise, as always, we thank you for watching, and I hope you're having a great day. Bye.